Okay. So I've gone through, I think, everybody's deliverable with the comments, you know, what to hand in, what not to hand in. And then, you know, the videos are really good too, to go through and add more detail. So the key is just to go back, add in that detail, because again, it's attention to detail. That's what we're looking for when we hire people is, you know, are they really focused on the detail, okay? And it took me a long time to get good at really focusing on detail. And you almost become neurotic about it because when you're in business, it's just the mistakes are so costly. You try not to make any mistakes. So what I also did, I gave you out the second extra credit problem set. I gave you some problems for us to work on for next week, and then if you're presenting next Thursday, that's going to be what teams 2 and 3 will be next Thursday. So they'll probably be what chapters 12 and 13. Okay, so I'll send out a reminder on that too. But let's talk about the midterm. Okay, the midterm's a little thinner, right? Okay, it's application. Okay, this is what we're going to be focusing on is application. So we're going to be doing case studies. We're going to be hitting the case studies at a very high level. And when I designed, you know, this midterm, I was going, you know, did I create something too advanced? But I came to realize that this is exactly what you should be learning. So we've already set a solid foundation in the course within the first deliverable. Now we're just going to do problems. Okay, so we've learned all the theory stuff. Now we're just going to focus on applications. So I wrote up these case studies. So the first case study on page 1 is you are a venture capital firm or a private equity firm, and you're looking to buy a startup company. What's the process that you go through the valuation? Obviously, these are fairly simplistic, but it's the approach. And then obviously, if you were actually underwriting or doing the due diligence around this transaction, you'd be interviewing everybody in the company. You would be, you know, scouring through their managerial reports, their financial reports. You're interviewing everybody. You're doing all the due diligence. Because a lot of these companies now, I mean, what's Lyft going out at? What's Lyft going IPO at?
22 billion.
Yeah, something like that. So is that a lot of money?
No.
No. And then don't forget all the venture capitalists and everybody that have been funding that company prior to IPO. So this is kind of a similar approach. So this is, you're the private equity firm, you're the venture capital firm, you're shopping for, you know, to buy a tech company. You got to figure out what this thing is worth. How much can you pay for this company? How much are you willing to pay, and how much do you think it's worth? Okay, so it's one thing what you're going to pay. It's another thing what it's worth, right? So that's the first approach. And then the second on page 2 is you're an investment bank, and you've been hired to value a large tech company. This would be a mid-size or mid-cap tech company that's been around for a while and has, you know, established clients, has stable cash flows. We're hired to either do the from the acquirer firm. We want to target another established tech company, and we need to figure out what the value of that company is and how much we're willing to pay for it to do the merger. Okay, or it could be that the company itself wants to know what the value of the firm is, so we're hired as the investment bank to value the firm on behalf of the client. On page 3, we are going to value a stable, established stock, such like IBM or Intel. So it's an established tech company, and we're going to value the stock as though we are an equity analyst, and then based on our valuation, our final intrinsic valuation, we are going to make a recommendation with the appropriate trades too. So this could be either I'm the investment advisor, I'm doing the research around the stock valuation, I'm making the recommendation. Or it could be I work as an analyst under a portfolio manager and the stock is in our portfolio. Or we're hired by the firm to basically do the valuation, to figure out if the stock price is going to go up or down over time. So there's multiple scenarios of how you can apply this stuff. On page 4, we're going to value the shares of a real estate investment trust, or what is called a REIT. So this is a publicly traded real estate company. It has assets. Its assets are its real estate assets. It generates revenue and net operating income from the leases by these tenants within these buildings. And then what we're going to do is we're going to value the enterprise level. We're going to value the intrinsic value of the stock based on the real estate. Okay. Then on page 5, we're going to do another development, and we're going to underwrite Salesforce Tower. Okay, at a very high level. Is everybody familiar with Salesforce Tower? Does anybody not know what Salesforce Tower is? You don't know? Salesforce, you know, the big customer relationship management company in San Francisco. Basically, they've been gobbling up space for about 10 years now. They decided that they would get Boston Properties to build a 1 million square foot office building for them in downtown San Francisco. And since they were growing and hiring basically 2,000 to 5,000 employees per month over the last 10 years, they decided to buy 50 Fremont across the street from Salesforce Tower and buy the other building, or build another building across the street. So they basically occupy about 2 billion square feet on that corner of basically Mission and Fremont in downtown. This is the state-of-the-art building that was just delivered about a year ago. It took about 10 years to build. And so we're going to go through the process of underwriting the development of Salesforce Tower. Unfortunately, in your program here at St. Mary's, at a lot of universities, they do not include real estate in the corporate finance course. They don't offer real estate courses. They don't offer personal investment planning. They don't talk about insurance. They don't talk about annuities. They don't really even talk about, I think in my view, personal portfolio management. So, and those are huge areas of opportunities in your career where you could go. So by not having that information, you can't go into those areas. Or you can, but it's better if you know a little bit about it. So, so we're going to add some real estate in there. And then on page 6, we're going to underwrite. We've been hired by a company called Alexandria, which is a real estate investment trust in the District of Columbia. And they specialize in biotech, medical office, laboratories, and building facilities on behalf of research institutions just like UCSF. So we're going to underwrite Mission Bay, okay? And Mission Bay, just like Salesforce Tower, but Mission Bay is a state-of-the-art biotech, biomedical, biopharma research cluster in San Francisco. It took like 30 years for them to build out that land use. So we're hired, we're E-Still secured, we are the investment bank. We were hired by Alexandria, the REIT, to help them with their underwriting of Mission Bay. Okay, so we're going to do that one. And then on page 7, it basically ties right into chapters 10 and 11, which is the capital budgeting process. How do you make investment decisions? How do you decide, should we build a facility in Shanghai or should we build it in Guangzhou? Should we buy the building or should we build the building? What is the process of making investment decisions? Should we buy the firm or build the capabilities internal within the firm? Should we do the advertising campaign? Should we do the marketing campaign? Should we build the technology internal or should we buy the technology externally? How do we make these investment decisions? You want to be in the room for these types of discussions. I mean, it doesn't matter where you come up from, accounting, finance, entrepreneurship, digital media, marketing, it doesn't matter. At some point in time, you want to be at the executive level helping to make investment decisions. That's where you want to be, okay? So the combination of those areas along with finance will allow you to be able to move up within the firm and start making investment decisions either on behalf of your division, your company, or on behalf of the company. So we're going to walk through, you've already learned the present value calculation. by using the discounted cash flow. If you subtract out the cost of the project from the present value, if it's negative, you're going to reject the project. If it's zero, you're going to accept the project. And if it's positive, you're going to accept it. If the net present value is positive, then your internal rate of return is greater than your cost of capital. And we in the industry, when we're looking at acquisitions or developments or tech companies to build or buy, we look at break even. How long is it going to take us to break even? If the project costs $2 billion, but we only get, 500 million, a year, then we're going to break even in 4 years. But our break even is 3 years. So if it's going to take us 4 years to break even, we better have a compelling reason to basically carry that project for 4 years until we reach break even. Most tech companies and most not startup companies, but companies like venture capital firms and private equity firms that buy other companies want to be paid back in most cases in less than a year. Okay? They will delay it up to 3 years maximum, but they want at minimum, they would love to be paid back in a year, but they definitely want to be paid back in less than 3 years. If it goes beyond that, then that's a lot of money going out, it's a lot of risk, things could change. So the project better be, either biopharma, pharmaceutical, maybe a cancer drug, or maybe a real estate development, something that has huge potential with a very long life. And they got to be comfortable being able to underwrite that. And then the last two problems are basically extra credit problems. These were actually given to me by the department to test you to see if you could even do it. So I basically just threw those in as extra credit. If you want to do them, you can do them. If you don't, it doesn't matter. I'm just always interested to see how you guys do just based on what you've learned in the course. Okay, any questions? Okay, how much time do we have? Hour? Okay. So the movie's probably going to be like 50 minutes. So you'll get out like 10 minutes early. Okay, so if you want me to look at anything, I'll be over here. And if you still have outstanding stuff and I haven't gone over it, or you've resubmitted it, or I got to look at it, I'll call you up and then we can go over it over there. Okay?